Hello and welcome to the Cosmos video channel. We are an online store specializing in cosplay costumes. You are now listening to our original novel, The Extraordinary Werewolf. If you have any interest in cosplay outfits, you can contact us at cosmos.com. Now, let's begin the story. Previously, on The Extraordinary Werewolf, Glenn, soaked in blood and mud after defeating the giant Abu, returned home and needed new clothes. He decided to borrow a change of clothing from his unpleasant neighbor, the old man who reluctantly complied. Glenn is now clean and preparing for another hunting trip to sell game for money, while Lila and Bonnie are shaken by their encounter with Lila's treacherous father and are reporting him to the authorities. After about 10 minutes, the old man came downstairs holding a set of brown garments. He said in a low voice,
"This is the smallest size I have. You wouldn't fit into anything else."
"Thank you, my dear neighbor," Glenn replied, taking the clothes.
Glenn replied, taking the clothes. He knew that given the old man's height and build, finding anything close to his size would be difficult. Better than nothing. He bowed slightly, then opened the door and left. The old man watched the direction Glenn left in, letting out a long sigh only after the figure had disappeared completely.
That annoying kid.
With the clothes in hand, Glenn practically sprinted back to his house. He boiled water, rushed into the washroom, filled the tub, and then shed his uncomfortable soiled clothes, sinking into the warm water. I wonder where this water comes from. I don't have to pay a water bill and I can use it endlessly. I remember towns usually have something like a utilities department. I don't know if this town does, but this place is strange to begin with, so constant running water might be normal, Glenn pondered unconsciously while bathing, growing increasingly intrigued by this town. After a relaxing scrub, Glenn felt much refreshed. He put on the clothes the old man gave him as expected. They were slightly large but acceptable. He tidied up the washroom, lit the kerosene lamp, and sat in the living room constantly reflecting. Today's events had been tumultuous and frankly unlucky. He only hoped for smooth sailing tomorrow. There was no phone, no entertainment, and little to do at night. Glenn went to bed early, planning for an early start the next day. He was a little restless at first, too excited to sleep right away, but eventually he drifted off. Shush, shush. A faint sound from outside reached Glenn's ears while he slept. Being a very light sleeper, he slowly opened his eyes. He quietly pulled back the blanket and silently got out of bed. He remembered a similar noise on his first night here. He wondered what was outside. Could it be another monster like Abu? The original owner was lucky to have lived here so long without incident. Glenn's thoughts raced as he quickly moved to the window. Through the crack in the curtains, he looked out at the street. The darkness was no obstacle for Glenn's vision. He could see everything below. Without needing to search, he quickly found the source of the sound. It was an extremely slender creature. If its limbs were removed, it would resemble a snake. Its entire body was pale white, and its head was round. It was carefully rummaging for something in his yard. Now what is this thing? Glenn felt a headache coming on. He was speechless at the sheer absurdity of this place. This thing must have been here for a while. The original owner was fine, which means it doesn't easily attack residents. I probably don't need to worry about it. After a brief thought, Glenn decided to ignore it and returned to bed to sleep. That night, just as he predicted, no danger arose, and Glenn slept soundly until morning. He decided to go hunting again today. Yesterday's encounter had been frustrating, but he wasn't deterred. This time there were no mishaps. The hunting went smoothly. He and the beast caught 11 black boars and a deer-like creature, a significant haul. He randomly selected one of the boars, killed it, and fashioned a wooden cart to pull it out of the dense forest. The rest of the prey was left in the trap, guarded by the beast. While pulling the cart wasn't physically strenuous for Glenn, he felt a bit ridiculous doing it. If I wasn't worried about the beast scaring people, I wouldn't be doing this. He complained mentally, though his pace was brisk. Since he wasn't sure if he could sell all the game, it was best to reach Dude Town early, so he could at least get home before it got completely dark. At this very moment, Bob and the two henchmen had just arrived in Dude Town. At this very moment, Bob and the two henchmen had just arrived in Dude Town. The fright from yesterday had kept them from continuing their run on the dark road, so they had spent the night in a secluded cave. This meant they missed the two girls who were following them. After an anxious night, they rushed back to town at sunrise. They kept a low profile in town, doing nothing to attract attention, moving through the streets until they reached the entrance of a dark alley. This area was frequented by petty criminals and beggars. It was clear that law enforcement was sparse or non-existent here. There were many such places in the town, making it easy to slip away if they were ever caught. The men expertly navigated the alley. Up ahead was a noisy room, the commotion clearly audible from a distance, guarded outside by two imposing straight-standing thugs. The guards saw the three men approaching. They seemed to recognize the newcomers and allowed them to enter the house without a word. The noisy room was filled with drinking men who were talking loudly, using foul language, and whose behavior matched their rough appearance. Bob and his men entered without attracting much attention.
"We are back. Please inform Lord Galras."
"Please inform Lord Galras," one of Bob's accompanying thugs said to a small mustachioed man standing in a corner. The man scanned the newcomers, nodded, and walked into a back room. A few minutes later, the mustachioed man returned and told them, "His lordship says you may enter." "His lordship says you may enter." At the instruction, all three men grew tense, calculating what they should say to avoid punishment. But what must come comes. When the three men faced the powerful figure standing before the fireplace, all their prepared excuses dissolved into a confused mess.
"So, you saw a monster, abandoned your target right at your grasp, and ran back like stray dogs!"
The deep, resonant voice instantly silenced the three men who were scrambling for an explanation. They lowered their heads, trembling uncontrollably. The powerful figure turned his face, revealing his terrible features, red eyes, protruding tusks on his lips. He strongly resembled the green-skinned orcs often depicted in fantasy settings, but orcs didn't exist in this world, and he wasn't one. Though they had seen Galras's face more than once, each time was as shocking as the first.
Please, you must listen to our explanation. Lord Galras, I have never seen a monster like that. It felt incredibly terrifying. It was stronger than a lion. If we hadn't fled immediately, we would all be dead.
"All I know is that you botched the job."
"All I know is that you botched the job," Galras said calmly, giving a meaningful look to the thugs standing nearby. Taking the hint, the thugs roughly escorted Bob and his companions out. According to the rules, those who failed their task had to pay the price of a finger. If it weren't for the lack of available personnel, the punishment would be 100 times worse. Galras completely ignored the three men's pleas.
"How much life energy are you still short of?"
He suddenly said, a statement with unclear meaning. At this moment, the room should have been empty except for him.
"The more the better, my trusted friend. You have already experienced the feeling of power, haven't you? Find more young lives, sacrifice them to me, and once I am fully awakened, I will surely raise you to the supreme position."
A husky voice suddenly echoed through the room, answering Galras's question. Don't miss the next chapter. Please subscribe to the Cosmos channel to follow the extraordinary werewolf and explore more great cosplay content. Would you like to hear the next chapter? Or do you want to know what Galras will do to Bob and his men?